Hello, everyone. Sid Notter here. Welcome to day 29 of the Sage Circle Alliance's membership drive. We are expecting a guest with us today, Julie Ritchie, who's also from Sage Circle Alliance. But before she gets here, just like to welcome all of you that are attending live and those of you that are watching the replay. Thank you so much for being here. If you've been following along for the month of May, you probably have already learned quite a bit about Sage Circle Alliance, which celebrated its first birthday just a couple of weeks ago. So, a year ago, our founders, Paul Chatlin and Merrill Fury, got together. Paul Chatlin had an idea to put out there to get all of the plant based entrepreneurs on the same page and get us all moving together in the same direction in order to form an alliance where we can promote the plant based lifestyle even further for people's health, for concern for animal welfare, and for our planet. And so that's the underlying reason for the Sage Circle Alliance. And it's a wonderful networking opportunity too, if you happen to be a vegan entrepreneur, a coach, a physician, anybody in the healthcare field. And we're going to be talking about that today, how you could benefit from being a member of the Sage Circle Alliance. So if you happen to join during the month of May, you would be considered a charter member. So May is almost over. Today's the 29th of May. So there's just a couple days left to get in on this exciting opportunity to become a charter member for the Sage Circle Alliance, which is going to grow substantially and to get in at the ground floor and understand and connect with people would only benefit you and your business greatly in so many ways. And the networking opportunities are one of the things that we'll talk about today. So, also, if you do become a charter member during the month of May, you get 10% off of your membership fee for the first year. So that's an incentive to consider joining us. I was invited to become a founding member here a year ago when it first started up. Paul Chatlin contacted several of us that volunteer for PBNSG. And let's see, we've got Julie here joining us. Hi, Julie.
Hey,
See you.
how are you?
Good. I was just explaining to the group how I became involved with SCA about a year ago when it was first originated. And how about you, Julie? Did you come on right from the start as well?
What date are you talking about?
A year ago when Paul and Merrill got together with this idea for the Sage Circle Alliance.
No,
And
I didn't come along until about September. I was really fortunate to meet Meryl about a year prior, and I was so fascinated with her blog. I just wanted to read her blog for PBN. I can never say PBNM, and so I had been reading that, and I was literally watering sage, if you can believe this, with a water hose, 20 different varieties of sage when she called me one day and said, "Hey, we're starting this neat Sage Circle Alliance thing. Can you kind of help out with that?" And I said,
wow.
"Well, sure." What is it? So I came in about September after things were already kind of moving along.
Gotcha. And now you're such an integral part. So tell the viewers more about you. You just popped on and I jumped right into a question and didn't even really introduce you fully.
Oh, well, I'm a very fortunate person. I just enjoy working with groups like this. This is, I mean, here we have 40 professional people who are all like-minded on one of my favorite topics, which is health. And
Mhm.
it never fails. I think to myself, hey, how do I want to spend time in the next year? I had just kind of wrapped up the pandemic years after a move. I went to Ohio from Chicago area, and just the start of the pandemic, and so we were all on lockdown. And so last year I was asking myself, how am I going to spend time productively? Maybe I can find a couple people who are into something innovative and interesting, and then this comes along. This The alliance far exceeds what I had in mind. Is just being able to affiliate, learn what everyone's about, although I have Joule Studio on the screen right there next to my name, I am more really right now this year about promoting our Sage members.
Mm-hmm.
I have some other things I'm still wrapping up, which are all wonderful. I have a daughter getting married this fall, and so I'm kind of looking at that. But right now, I'm enjoying helping these members and learning what you're all about. I have your book on the shelf
Mm-hmm.
and some
Thank
others.
you. Mm-hmm.
Seems everywhere I go, I'm always talking with people, and at least one or a few Sage members come to mind, and I pass on the information to whoever
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking with, to include strangers.
Wow. And that's our topic today is networking, and that's a prime example of what you're doing there by passing people's names along that you know.
I like doing it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I like to do, networking.
So you are like the administrative entrepreneur or extraordinaire, I should they say, the administrative extraordinaire person for Sage Circle Alliance because you are in charge of informing us of all the meetings, all the meeting notes, what's going on. You keep us all updated. Is that your background? You have a background in administration as well?
Well, I do. I was a research analyst by trade. More recently, I guess years are flying by, but I more or less over my career had just helped groups. It was kind of the go-to person. Like, what's going on next Tuesday? We'll go ask Julie. So that's who I've been most of my adult life, to groups of executives that all have great plans. They're all very busy, just like Paul and Meryl and membership and marketing and think tank. And these groups are operating on premium unleaded thoughts. And I catch the drift, and I catch what they're about. And I always find myself in the middle between them and the people that we're attracting, who are asking questions on the other end, like what is this about? What do we do? Where do we sign? How do we get involved? We want to be involved, we're just not sure. So I try to bridge those gaps. And I wouldn't say I'm in charge of anything, by the way. I'm not a thing. I really try to mirror what Paul and Meryl have established, and V. Lynn and the marketing group, and Kathleen, and all of that energy. And think tank. I popped into some think tank meetings just to make sure that I'm hearing what's going on. But no, I just try to let people know, here's what we're doing, here's where to show up, here's a link, just click.
Wow. So you're like the liaison between a lot of people here at SCA. You keep us all informed.
I
And
try.
I just really appreciate that because, it's not an easy thing to do in this world of busy distractions and people have calendars that fill up and you keep us all on schedule. I
One thing I
appreciate it.
try to do is not be in inboxes too much. Believe it or not. Now, I probably, some people don't believe that, but I really do. I think twice or three times before pressing send. I'm like, is this really, have I grabbed the top priority for the day? Because I don't want to saturate inboxes. We're all very busy. We don't need a whole bunch of extra notes floating around, or phone calls, or phone tag. So I try to be concise as much as I can. And
You
I'm always
do.
working on that. I'm trying to work on that, actually.
Yeah, you do a great job. I never feel like I'm being bombarded with emails at all. You get right to the point and tell us what's going on.
I
Really,
work at
really
it.
good.
I've not mastered this at all, because I could send 10 notes for every one, that because this group is doing that many good things. Really, it is. So it's hard to, if I have any question, I just call Meryl or Paul, and I'll say, what are your top three? Not the top 10, the top three.
Mhm.
And then if there are 10 that have to go out, I'll space them out. And
Mhm.
I just do. I love to connect people. I personally, right now, personally and professionally, with Joule Studio, I haven't opened business yet. Seeing Joule Studio next to my name is a motivator for me.
Well, tell me about Joule Studio. What is your business?
Eventually, hopefully earlier next year than later, I want to offer grant writing to a first line of maybe probably Sage Circle Alliance members, not only just the members, but their clients, because our members are already pretty established. At least the founders are established and professional, but maybe they have clients who are struggling, like the vegan cafe owners or people who are trying to promote a vegan brand, and it's their client. So it's a win-win if eventually I say, hey, I do some, I did professional photography and I can offer that. But I also have done grant writing. I'm not certified yet. I'm thinking of going for a certification this year as preparation. I'm learning from Brian Denstedt about website administration so I can create a website. But I want to offer grant writing. I want to match up people who need money to people who have it but don't know where to invest. I want to grab attention to what's needed. I've met people who told me after the fact that they donated to this or that group and it was a terrible match and they complained about it and they said, yeah, it was end of year tax write-off. I had to. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, let's improve that next year.
Mm,
So I'd like to grab money for Sage people. And
wow.
I also have a couple other groups I do. I try to mentor youth into aviation. And since I have their attention already, I'm going to add health. I'm going to say, hey, if you come to the event, we're going to have some really healthy food to eat.
Mentor youth into, say that again, aviation.
In fact,
Mm.
I just how to fly airplanes. That's it. And the only reason I'm mentioning that is because every member, especially founders, Sage founders, every person has other interests other than Sage. And
Mhm.
so the only reason I'm mentioning that is because if we each are laying in bed at night, getting ready to go to sleep, thinking about all the people we touch, there's no reason why we can't take our delicious, healthy, good food and mindsets to those other groups. So that's what I try to
Wow.
do. It sounds kind of sneaky. It's like show up and figure out how to fly an airplane and oh here by the way here's your lunch and it's not going to be any meat.
Wow. So, okay, so you were a professional photographer,
Mm.
you're a grant writer, and you're going to pursue formal education or, a certificate in that, and you're a pilot?
I did not finish my pilot's license. I have flown
Oh.
airplanes on my own
Mhm. Mhm.
and I've worked with pilots for most of my life, but I am the behind the scenes person in almost every role that I do.
Wow.
It's just a nice, it's my comfort. It's my comfort zone, and it also pushes me beyond my comfort zone because in meeting all of you here, it's like, wow, I didn't know that. And then you get interested in hearing like your story and everyone else's. And I just like promoting that. I love
Mhm.
bringing attention to people who have earned it. You've worked
Mhm.
really hard. You wrote a book. Did all these things. And so I'm going to
Yeah.
pass your work around, not just
Mhm.
formally in notes, but if I'm in conversations, I'll say, "Oh, hey, you ought to meet so and so. Here's their number. They're a founding member too." I think
Mhm.
we would be very collaborative together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting how our life paths take so many turns and twists, and by the time reach the age I am, like I was an inspector at a nuclear plant for many years.
Oh, wow.
Would you have
Yeah.
thought that?
No, not at all. See, now, and that's where some people say, "Oh, you're going to go down the rabbit hole with that." Like we didn't like. Yeah, now that I know that in future conversations, yeah, I'm going to follow up. Yeah, I would be the one to say, "Oh, well, were you kind of showing up to luncheons at the nuclear plant with vegetable dishes and kind of getting them on board with the health aspect of it?"
No, I wasn't even into the health aspect myself at that time. And the plant was under construction, so I was an inspector for the building of the nuclear plant.
Wow.
It wasn't running yet.
Wow. Oh, this is another conversation with us
Yeah, so when Joule Studio officially opens, will grant writing be the primary purpose, or will
I
you
think
include? Okay.
I kinda I don't know, somewhere along the lines, I learned that if you try to there's something to be said for being very focused.
Um,
Like even Sage has several things, focus areas now. We're very focused. We wanna be productive. Like we met goal A, goal B, goal C
mhm,
by our intended date. At the same time, when you balance other things into the equation, you don't want to just miss everything else that's kind of floating by because there could be, as long as you don't get distracted with it. If you see something coming by and you're like, hey, I think this fits. That's why I
mhm,
don't discard everything. I am capable of setting something right. You know, I was very task oriented for 35 years
mhm,
and then took a break. And then I met Meryl. I'm like, oh, this is great. Now I have an innovative group to
mhm.
get focused on and SCA goals. And just like I said, when I'm out and about, I'll probably just every week now, this week, I probably referred at least 6 or 7 SCA members in conversations with complete strangers when I was out running around. And to the point where they were on their phone saying, tell me that website again.
Wow,
And
that's a
I do
gift.
that everywhere I go.
Mhm. That's a real gift.
I
Yeah.
love doing it. It,
Mhm.
it leads to things. It's look at it. I wore a special shirt just because we have at least a few, if you can see it.
What is it? I can't really
There's
tell.
there's pineapples all over my
Oh.
shirt. We have at least a few members who really love pineapples, especially bright yellow ones.
I can think of 2 members that would fall into that category for sure.
Well, I wore it just for them.
Okay. So I like what you said about, if you have a business, it's good to be focused on one thing. I think if we try to be all things to all people, and I've tried that, it doesn't work as well. You've got to have a niche.
Yeah.
It helps to
It's
have a
it's
niche.
it's a balancing act. I
Yeah.
every day is a new opportunity. I am a master of nothing. I'm in charge of nothing. Right now, I'm at Paul and Meryl's at their, what they want done is what I want to get done. And then I bring a few things along too, things I notice that are helpful, like people I meet, introduce, whatever. I try to
Mhm.
focus on what, there's so much going on that we cannot immediately affect. There's a lot of things that we can immediately affect. And so I try to focus on the positives. And um, very smart woman back in my early volunteer days, I was just overwhelmed with whatever was at hand that day. And I said, well, how are we going to do this? This is impossible. This is challenge. She says, don't focus on any of that. Just focus on what we can do.
Mhm.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to do. Mhm.
So let's talk about networking opportunities for SCA because that's part of the whole gist of this, right? To be interdependent on each other and to build this together and amplify our voices together in order to promote this movement, plant-based movement.
Um, oh boy, what I would first suggest is for anyone who sees this, especially if you're already a founder member or a charter member, please join the community Zoom calls and jump into any of the other Zoom calls that are team oriented. We've got teams, and some people still don't realize we have a think tank, we have a
Mhm.
membership marketing group, we
The
have leadership.
speakers,
Yeah,
yeah.
speakers. There are so many opportunities, and I'm working especially with Meryl and Paul on really narrowing that down. That it's very close to every day is unfolding with new opportunities, and we've only scratched the surface. This initial launch, this month of May public launch, this is just a fraction. This is a start. of everything this alliance offers. And all it takes, not everyone has to be in the weeds with it. It's rolling along right now well enough that the people like you and Janet and Peggy and Ann, and I could just go down the whole list, all of Mike, people who have shown up and done all of these things and jumped on interviews, it's rolling. And so if other members are maybe very, very heavy schedules, very saturated with what they were already doing, at some point they're going to say, oh, Sage Circle Alliance is actually a high point of my week. And the payouts, I think, are going to really, I don't mean just money payouts, I mean satisfaction. The satisfaction of making a big difference in people's lives. I mean, like Meryl's wonderful, wonderful mission of going to schools.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to say I have favorite missions because, well, but I could make an exception for kids, helping kids health-wise, just giving them fruit, salad like she does.
Mm-hmm.
I could
Yeah.
listen to those stories all day. And I
Mhm.
am traveling this week and right through Illinois. I think I went right by you the other day. And I enter Illinois and I think, wow, we've got Sage people here who are
Mhm.
making a big difference with
Where
kids.
are you now, Julie? Are you in Ohio now, or where
No,
are you?
I am physically at a good friend's house, a pilot, and I'm between interests this week because I'm going to a big fly-in with 200 airplanes in a couple days. Lots of kids who fix airplanes. And I,
Wow.
by the way, for the record, have already called ahead and ordered vegan pizza. And this group isn't necessarily oriented to that. They're like, okay, we'll get your vegan pizza. Well, so I just show up and we do it. And it's a good way to say, this is what I do. And then when people come around and say, well, how do you do all this? How are you having all this fun? And I'm like, well, notice what I'm eating
Mhm.
because it helps me feel good to eat this way. And I'll say
Wow.
for the record, since meeting Meryl, I think my cholesterol was up to 260 like 2 or 3 years ago. It's down to 125 today.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
all my numbers are down. And this wasn't about counting calories or any of this. This was about eating great food and not
Mhm.
worrying about all of the stress. If I between all of our members, we have like all these podcasts I listen to when I'm on the elliptical at the gym.
Mhm.
I don't even have to try to learn. I'm Janet Pearson and I swap notes all the time. I learn something every time that I talk with her. She gives she gives me links for podcast and I listen to them and I'm like, "Oh, so that's what the whole sodium thing is about."
Mhm.
It's not like this is all new to me. My daughters came home in 2008 with documentaries. And they said, "We're gonna change our kitchen, Mom." I'm like, "Oh, okay. What's that mean?" So, it's not a new topic. It's just that I am more serious about it now than I've ever been.
So have you been eating plant-based since 2008 then, Julie, or when your daughters announced that they were going to make the kitchen?
We went from right around the 2008 period, I thought we were being healthy. Like I would make chicken stir fry or
Mhm.
whatever it was
Mhm.
with at the time the big thing were the spiral zucchini noodles. I got a spiralizer and instead of eating
Mhm.
pasta, we were eating spiral noodles, things
Mhm.
like that. And so they motivated me. These daughters, beautiful daughters, motivated me in every which way. They said, "We have got to eat um, not meat and not." Then they first vegetarian, then it was vegan, and I'm like, wow, like we're getting serious about this. So I would say that um, I ate a lot more vegetables and fruits than we were around that time. Both of them moved on and became vegan, totally. In fact, I think both of them are fully vegan still. And
Mhm.
that would have been 15 years for each of them. For me,
Mhm.
I did not pull it all together. I represent a lot of people who know better and don't have quite all the details, and then you're into other groups. I am one of those people. I have all these different groups that do a lot of different things, and I wouldn't say I care terribly about making bad impressions or anything. It's just that when you're trying to go with the flow with groups, it was difficult for me.
Mhm.
It's not difficult in this group. When you're a member of
Mhm.
Sage Circle Alliance, getting your cholesterol to 125 and losing weight and feeling absolutely fantastic is not a hard thing to do.
Yeah, you're surrounded by like-minded people,
It's
right,
very
that
fun.
are on the same, wavelength.
It's a fun thing to do. This is a
Mhm.
great way and relatively stress-free way. I know we have a lot of stressful topics, of course we do. The whole premise of
Mhm.
us wanting to make changes is based on a lot of bad things going on, but I don't harp on
Mhm.
it. I harp on what I can do. I eat well. I
Mhm.
had to stop somewhere. I'll do little things that I think cumulatively, if I do enough times, I had to run in to use a restroom quickly because I'm traveling. The only place on the road was Chick-fil-A. So I
Mm.
went in there and I went up to the counter and I said, "Hey, do you have any plant-based chicken?" And they all looked at me like, "What is that?"
Mhm.
But I do these
Mm.
things just to do it. Like I wasn't even going to order anything. I want the questions. I want the questions asked. I want
Right.
especially young people, young managers. I want them to
Mhm.
get the question and they looked at me like, "How do we answer? Let's go get a manager. What is plant? What does plant mean?" And I'm like, "Go ask
Mhm.
your manager what that means. Tell them that you saw a customer walk out because you didn't have it."
Yeah.
Even though plant-based chicken isn't what I eat so much of anymore, actually. I eat
Mhm.
whole potatoes and whole vegetables and whole beans and lentils, and this
So
really
so
has separated my life.
yeah, so your journey into plant-based eating was up and down, or was it more linear, uh,
No, I think
gradual?
it was up and down, and I will add, we all have things that come into our life. Um, Anytime you move, even if it's a wonderful reason and thing and it's all good, it's still it's still a thing. You have to wow, I lived in Chicago for 30 years, so now I'm going to Ohio. And it all
Mhm.
worked out great, but it was a lot of work, and I'm glad I'm on this side of it and that I'm eating better, but when it was all going on, I was just
Mhm.
grabbing food at all different hours.
Mhm.
Any not eating I didn't like to eat meat, but I would eat the processed vegan food that is not good for you, not at all.
Mhm.
I have a yoga teacher who is a nutrition coach, and she says her biggest business is helping sick vegans get well
Mm.
because they
Yeah.
eat I won't name brand names, but there's a lot of brand name vegan processed food on the shelf.
Right. Right. And I can relate. I that was part of my journey too. I went from unhealthy vegetarian like 35 years ago and then to unhealthy vegan until finally a whole food plant-based diet, with limited or no added oils for about 15 years now. But it was a big journey for me too. I was into that transition phase where I was eating fake chick patties and
Yeah.
fake hot dogs and all of that stuff and thinking we were doing the best thing ever and
Mhm.
having our Hostess cupcakes, which are vegan, and
I went
yeah.
I went from, I thought I was being really smart. I read the book Fit for Life years ago, and I've read all the books. I've seen the documentaries. Um, yes, I was very touched by the initial documentaries. That's what got to my daughters. Seeing the
Mm,
stockyards, seeing the slaying. You can't
mm,
unsee that.
yeah.
If you do unsee it, you've got bigger problems. So
Mm,
so I went from buying processed vegan chicken nuggets. because I was so hungry and they tasted so good, to then thinking, well, I really should put these in a great big salad, like mostly salad with a little bit of this. Now, thanks to Sage Circle Alliance and podcast by all of these members that get into the details about sodium and oil, I had heard of SOS free before joining this group. I didn't practice it. And even though I wasn't frying things in olive oil, I can tell you that my taste buds changed. It's just like you all say, it doesn't take months. It doesn't even take weeks sometimes, just a couple or 3 weeks. And suddenly something you look at, when something has too much oil in it, you feel it, you taste it. You're like, I don't want to eat all this. So
Yeah.
now I feel really good. And if I'm out to a restaurant with people like I was yesterday, I don't necessarily order the veggie burger. I get sides. I get a side of steamed broccoli and asparagus and baked potato. And if they have some salsa, that's great too. And I don't use a lot because there's probably a lot of sodium.
That's a great tip. In fact, I like to include that tip when I'm helping people choose at restaurants to look at the sides on the
Yeah.
menu, the side dishes. You can often build a meal, a healthy meal just around the side dishes.
Yeah, you do. You don't have to order. Yesterday, I was at Red Robin. It's a restaurant in Illinois, and they had a Impossible Burger and also a veggie burger. So I know that that'll be like a bean, walnut, some sort of thing. And but they had all these neat sides on it. It's like why not just get a potato and broccoli and asparagus? I'm good with that. Brussels sprouts, yeah. A lot of time they have bacon all over it, so you have to kind of ask ahead for, not so much oil, not bacon. Going out to eat, hanging out with Meryl a few times. That was so encouraging. I went to the grocery store with her one night, and I'm like, so I did things like that before. It's just my friends group is not heavily populated with vegan. I have a lot of vegetarian friends, and I have a lot of carnivore friends. And I worry. And one reason I love this group is because I feel like it makes me more capable, even if indirectly, being an example to some of my friends, because some of them are no longer here. In fact, I just went to take a couple parents of a 36-year-old firefighter friend who passed away, 36 years old, of a heart attack. And so it's another thing you cannot unsee. When you have friends dying of cancer and heart attack and diabetes, and when your own doctor is, telling you, oh, here's some new medicine for you. When I hear your stories and Sage member stories, and they're like, no, we reverse all that. I think I'll go hang out with those people.
Yeah, it's really hard. I'm in the same boat. Most of my friends and family here in Illinois, very few are vegan. A few are. We have potlucks once a quarter, and about 20 people come. But most of them, I would say a third of them are totally on board, and others are just here to explore and get recipes, and that's fine. The more we can encourage them, the better. But family members, church members, none of them eat like we do. So we are definitely the odd ones. But tell people it's okay to be the oddball. It's okay because you don't want to be normal in a country where people are dying prematurely, right?
You asked about networking. One idea that I think we've talked about, maybe in Think Tank, I never remember where these ideas come up. It would be a really neat idea. I know several of you all have your own cookbooks out there, but how cool would it be to have an SCA cookbook, like a combination of, I don't know if I should use the word vegan comfort food, but what I like to do, instead of announcing that I've arrived as a vegan, I just bring great food. I figure, no, I used to eat that way. I know what tastes good. I just find the best version, and I take it to wherever I'm going, and I make sure I take a lot.
Mhm.
did like these potlucks, and I make it look fabulous. I used to cook for a lot of people. I mean, 1,000 people at a time, so I know how food works and goes together. If I take it great food and
Mhm.
set it in front of people, they eat it,
Mhm.
and then
That's
they
what I
ask.
do too. Yeah. I'm a big
They
believer of that too, sharing the food.
Yeah, yeah.
So, if someone is sick or they need a meal brought, I'm bringing the best I can possibly bring that I think they're going to enjoy and want to know the recipe.
The nice part about it is it's cheap. Vegetables and fruits are often less expense than any kind of meat dish. So this is not at all on my budget expense list. I just do it. And if I make a really nice dish and I think, well, hopefully there'll be some leftovers that I can take home and have. There aren't leftovers. People eat
So
it,
you
they ask for the recipe, and then when I conveniently have little recipe cards handy,
Mhm.
I don't mention any. I just hand it to them, and they look at it like, "Well, wait, wait." I'm like, "Well, just try it." And
Yeah.
it's usually stuff, there's different levels of being vegan, and if you
Yeah.
walk in a health food store, it's like a, "Ooh." Not everyone's there.
Yeah, so I really stepped out on a limb last week. So, vacation Bible schools or at churches, they're held for a week typically. And I signed up to be one of the food people because I'm bringing healthy, I'm making smoothies, I'm making
Mhm.
date balls because they usually get Cheetos and candy. And
Right, right.
so I thought I'm going to go there and try to introduce some hummus with veggies and, healthy snacks. And I think, what have I got myself into? Because there's a lot of kids.
Well, going back to networking, it's all about networking, so that's
Hmm.
Merrill's primary mission is children.
Yeah,
So each and
exactly.
every I mean, everybody here should know that if you're a SAGE member, kids are kind of at the top of the list. We're really trying to push this. I don't like the
Hmm.
word push either. We're trying to plant lots of
Um,
seeds, 6 million at least seeds
yeah.
to make sure that today's children are on the right track. They go home, they talk to their parents, they're excited. If their
Hmm.
parents have had a bad day at work, how nice it is it when your kids are feeling good, behaving well, they're not all keyed up with sugar. They're like, "Mom, I had some fruit at school today. Can we get some, please?"
Hmm. Yeah,
That's kind of like a
exactly.
subtle message to parents that, "Hey,
Hmm.
here's a way forward instead of your kids fighting at the end of the day. They feel good."
Yeah, exactly. So I was thinking about the networking opportunities with Sage Circle Alliance too. So for anyone watching that is a vegan entrepreneur or not, there's ways to get connected with other people that I think are just fabulous. I've learned the lesson of how valuable that can be over the last few years just by participating in bundles with other people that, get into these bundle packages and developing classes. I've developed a bone class with a physical therapist that has a bone class and I had a bone class, so we combined them. And then I found some ladies that wanted to do a burger class. And so I joined with them to do a video on burgers. So all these collaborative efforts are so cool, not for the audience especially, but because you're meeting and connecting with
Yeah.
like-minded people. And three people on the same project is going to take that project a lot further than you could ever do alone. I've discovered that too. So that's why networking with SCA, oh boy, the opportunities. We have an events calendar, right, where you can list your events even and participate, get involved with each other to promote each other. What else is there? There's the member directory, there's conferences, there's all these opportunities, not an SCA conference yet, but I'm just saying that's one way to network and spread the word about SCA would be like we're going to the National Health Association conference at the end of June. That'd be a good place
Mhm.
for me to be talking about SCA. What else comes to your mind for partnerships, Julie, and with other people in SCA?
If you can think it's usually possible. That's always been my motto, and part of my motto is if you don't ask the question, the answer is usually no. I have actually been
Hmm.
on stages with audiences of 500 where I actually say that. And they look at me like I used to provide briefs on how to use health insurance. It's like
Mhm.
I don't like that topic, but it was satisfying to be paid to explain it to people and learn it. So I would say that my company had no interest at all at the time with, um, well, like we're always talking about. Our insurance company that provided healthcare was not interested in preventive lifestyle management at all. I was hired to go deliver, I was a benefits advisor to employees, and I went out and I told the Midwest employees how to use their insurance and sign up and deductibles and caps and copays and all of this stuff. I did not waste an opportunity. Each and every brief at the end of toward the end of the brief and maybe all during the brief whenever I could. And I hope everyone listens to this because this is something that every member can do in a lot of places, in a lot of conversations, even one on one. You don't even need an audience. If you're with a friend or you have a group, maybe a dinner group at your house or some naysayers that don't quite understand lifestyle management and they're busy and they're whatever they're busy with, they're worried about the world and everything going on. I would just say you would not believe how much you have an ability to affect your positive outcome, much more than, say, your a couple visits with your doctor a year. I say what you decide to do each and every day, 24/7, several times a day we eat. And your choices with eating and what time you go to sleep, how much you exercise, your health and wellness with friends, your supportive friends groups that you keep. These are all top priorities to me. Family, friends is what I'm about. And so
Mhm.
I talk to friends about this. When they start in with, "Oh, this happened last week and this is going on and that's going on." I'm like, "Well, how about just feeling well despite it all? How about here's some food." I usually have food with me in my trunk if I'm traveling,
Mhm.
and that's exactly what I did in this trip. People saw me coming with my cooler that I've carried for 25 years, and they're like, "Here she comes. She's pulling fruit out of her cooler. Here, have some cherries, have some strawberries. Let's talk about
Mhm.
this problem. We'll fix it." But you
Mhm.
gotta feel good to fix it.
Mhm.
So that's networking is talk when you talk with people anywhere you go, impress upon them that they have some power. And if you're a person of faith, and I mean lots of denominations, lots of multicultural, multi-religion. I think we talked about this when someone mentioned the film Christspiracy does a really good job of this. So does A Prayer for Compassion. Those are two documentaries that talk about multicultural, multi-religious groups, but they all share the common ground of we do need to be healthy to do well, to survive. I think speaking the same language, getting to that common ground is a good place to start or and continue
Mhm.
and end up with health at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I like what you said about family and friends because it's really about relationships, even in SCA, right? Building relationships within SCA. There's
Yeah.
a lot of opportunities to do that here.
I like
And
to
it
try
would
to promote that. I've done my
mm,
best to try to get people to call each other, and if I our Zoom calls are the best next best thing to a party in a room. I would love if everyone could get together, and when I'm traveling like I am this week, if I see someone on the map, I wanna come see you. Like, I'd like to come see you next week on my way home.
okay. I'd love that.
Mm,
Yeah, so other ways too, opportunities within Sage Circle would be not only the community events that there it's just so unexplored at this point. Like you said, there's much more coming down the pike with SCA. Right now, we've got a great start going, and we've got ways to connect with others here
mhm.
in meetings and groups. And if you volunteer, right? We have a free membership even for
Mhm.
volunteers and students. But if you get in on the charter membership this month, which today's what, May 29th, so there's only a couple days left here in May to get a discounted charter membership with SCA, which would be fabulous. You'll be onboarded, right? Somebody will explain to you everything that's going on here, and you can join up with a group or so and just get
I'll,
involved.
um,
And
I'll say a little bit about that just because I know a couple people who might be listening to this that'll say, well, that might not be true.
oh,
Um, this is good news. This is all good. Um, we had some people sign up. They knew members. I mean, they weren't just coming out of the blue. They knew some Sage members, but they joined, and I'm seeing them join, and I don't have quite all the info. Maybe I was missing a phone number or something, and I just saw the name pop in, and um, I will say that this is such a positive organization. It if you can think of some like some of the major successful companies out there or initiatives that have ever happened. In fact, I would dare say pretty much all of them. Anyone who is successful today with their established whatever it is, that didn't happen overnight. That took a lot of planning, a lot of preparation. In some cases, as we have all heard the stories, writes book, they throw it in the trash, and maybe 2 more books later is when they hit all of their fame or whatever it is. Well, I think Sage Circle Alliance has, like, started successfully immediately, in my opinion. This has been such a high positive energy. I joke around and I say, "Hang on to your hat," because Paul and Meryl, they're like, "Well, here's what we're doing this week. Can you do this? Can you send out a note about this or that?" "Sure, I can." But we wanna make sure that these people who just came on board have what the rest of us have had since, you know, we've been around for a couple months. We kinda know the gist. So I'm kind of in the middle trying to make sure that brand new people don't feel like they're just getting a fire hose.
mm,
Our current welcome system, we're working on this. We're making
okay.
sure that if you come to this website and you join, that you don't feel so lost. And I know that some members might have felt that, but it's because we are growing so quickly. And it's like Paul has said several times, when you grow this quickly, because it's all very positive, um, it's an exciting place to be. Because this is why we say founding members, charter members. This isn't for shrinking violets.
Mhm,
This is for people who are really, they wanna see change. They want to see the world diet upgraded for real. And so if you're a charter member, that comes with, hey, yeah. Like I joined Toastmasters years ago. In 2005, I was away at some training and I needed to bump up my briefing skills for large audiences. I went to join, and it was a charter. I was a charter member of a Toastmasters club.
mm.
And to this day, like right now, today, right now, I'm saying, "Hey, I was a charter member." Well, that's what people can do here. Every charter member of Sage,
Mhm,
as things get busier and better and bigger, and
mhm,
who knows, maybe we'll find some grants. Maybe, maybe some opportunities with grants. I mean, I'm doing grant writing.
mhm,
Maybe I don't know everything that Paul and Meryl and Lynn and Kathleen have mapped out, or the think tank. I've missed meetings because I've been traveling.
mhm.
I'm kind of the messenger. I just get to tell all the good news. So I
But
don't
every member is invited to the Zoom meetings, right? Every member.
yeah.
Yeah, so all ideas are welcome. There's often a lot of brainstorming that goes on, and people share ideas, and we see what sticks and what works, and it's a
If
very collaborative effort. This isn't like where there's a hierarchy of, these
this
people call the shots. We're all in it together.
this is a fast moving train on a very, very worthwhile track with a
Mhm,
very worthwhile destination.
mhm.
And if you jump on the train at any stop, which I highly recommend, even if you don't, you know, some of my friends, like I told you, I have these friends groups that are kind of all over the place, um, different interest, and they're kind of confounded sometimes. They're like, "What do you mean airplanes?" Or "What do you mean? What's whole food plant mean?" I don't. I just see everyone as an opportunity. As they would have to work really hard for me to dismiss them as a
Mhm.
like, "Hey, I don't wanna be near you." That doesn't happen to me very often. I just I'm like, "Hey, I'm going this direction, and if you wanna come along, you probably won't be disappointed." And that's
Mhm.
kind of usually what happens. And, you don't have to have all the details to this group to benefit from joining. I Anyone who wants to step in, it's kinda like putting your foot in a stream. My kids and I used to go on road trips, and I'd pull over when I saw a stream on the map, and we'd go and refresh our feet. Well, if you wanna refresh your whole life and upgrade your diet and upgrade the planet diet, then put your big toe and your feet into the stream of Sage Circle Alliance. And
That's a great visual.
as things move along and as the stream moves along and you start to feel better and your feet feel great and then you start feeling great, then someone hands you a plate of great food. Then you go to your
Mhm.
doctor. My doctor, my physician with Ohio Health, beautiful young woman from India, very lean, looks very healthy. She looked at my numbers and she said, "What are you doing that your cholesterol has dropped like this?" And I told her, I said, "I hang out with 40 doctors and nutrition coaches that eat whole food plant based." And she said, "What group is this?" Like I didn't
Mm.
push it. And she's
Mhm.
mainstream. She's mainstream medicine.
Mhm.
And I said, "Well, here's the website. Highly recommend looking them up." I actually mentioned a couple particular members. Like I don't hesitate to mention, and I try
Mhm.
to even it out. Like I don't want to play favorites or anything, but if I know that one will connect in particular,
Mhm.
I mention and I say, "Write this name down." And I asked her if she was whole food plant based, and she says, "Oh, you've got it right." She says, "I know, I need to do it." And she says,
Mm.
I'm going to look at this. I'm going to look at this website."
Mm.
So you never know if we can get some mainstream doctors into this group.
Mhm. Yes, that would be so wonderful. My doctor too, he's a GP from India as well, and he's mainstream, and I gave him a copy of my book, so hopefully he reads it. But I doubt it, but, you never know, you just never know.
This
Yeah.
doctor that I have right now is so good
But
to me.
anyway, we've got doctors in the group, nurses, coaches, authors.
And I should mention too.
Oh, I think our video is off with our audio.
Hmm, is it okay?
Oh, I think we're back.
Okay.
The video and audio didn't seem to be jiving there for a minute, but go ahead.
I want to make sure that anybody watching this doesn't think, "Oh, well, I have to be a doctor to be in the alliance." No, or you have to be a coach or you have to have a business. Um, no, and I don't. This is good for everybody. Anybody
Mhm.
seeing this has to eat food every day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
if you
you
eat
don't need to
food,
have a business to join. That's a good point to bring up, Julie.
no,
This is
because
for
I
anybody
don't.
that cares about their health, about the animals, about the planet, any of those concerns, this would be the place to come.
Yeah, and I don't. The business you see there, Joule Studio, is. I'd like to spend the rest of this year and however many months next year. Today's the first day that I have announced this to the group. I said, "Yes,
Mhm.
I'm Joule Studio." They're like, "What is that?" Well, I said, "It's in the making." And I'm a big believer in visuals. Like when you see your name next to something, then it is happening.
Mhm. It's real at that point.
And my experience with Paul and Meryl is if they are involved, it's happening. So,
Yeah.
so this is exciting for me. because I know I'm on track, even though I haven't opened business yet, because I'd like to open it up to members. As members want to comment, I'll throw this out there. The reason it's named Joule is because years ago when I did professional videography, I had a really high-end videographer training me. He was hugely successful. He did commercials all over Chicago.
Hmm.
And he had introduced me. He says, you really need to get a Mac. You need a Mac laptop to do this. So I did. I went out and bought one. And then he showed me how to jump into iMovie. And then it went to Final Cut and then some other programs. And I did professional weddings, graduations, big ticket items all over the place. And I asked him if I could just edit it. It seemed really interesting to me to actually edit my own work. And that's the best thing he could have done, because if you hand someone a task, if they are not the ones following through with the end product, they don't see the big picture. Like, we've all had those bosses who said, here, do this or that, but they don't give you the end vision. If you don't have an end vision, then you're kind of winging it, and it's not as satisfying if you don't know what the real goal is.
Yes.
Joule Studio is exactly my goal, because Joule, he showed me how to edit video. He says, you can edit this down to 1/30th of a second. At the time, this was back in 2003, before all the technology. And I thought, 1/30th of a second. And at the time, I had some really good mentors in my life, leadership wise and bosses wise. And they were all about now. Now is what we have. Don't worry so much about the future. Don't worry so much about your past. Right now, today is what we need to do. And so I was thinking about this new editing magic that I was going to do. And I thought, I came across the term Joule. Joule is the amount of energy needed, electric energy needed to create a spark for 1 second.
Wow.
And I thought, if I do nothing else in life but attach a bunch of those things, a bunch of seconds together, and create a whole bunch of sparks for people and mirror back their best, because that's what I did in videography. I take their life, their event, their high graduation, their wedding, whatever it is. My only job is that moment, is to bring out the very best of what that moment is. I am just not terribly concerned with anything else but that. That's what I want to offer Sage members. Just 1 second at a time. What are you doing today? How can I promote it? Who can I tell? Where's the good food? I'm hungry right now. But right now is what I'm about. And if people think that that is short-sighted, they can go talk to a few bosses I had in the past who were the recipients of pages and hundreds of pages of government research and analysis that I produced. And they will say, no, she's just kidding you. She knows how to do that. She knows how to look out for the future and the past and the present. But right now with Joule Studio, this is about promoting Sage members and kids who want to fly airplanes. Those are my two primary areas right now.
Okay.
And kids who show up to fly airplanes are going to be eating really well.
Vegan pizza.
They won't know. They won't know ahead of time. They might look at this stuff like, well, where's the cheeseburger? And I'm like, oh, we ran out of those. But here's something better.
Yeah. That's very cool, the name Joule, how that came about. I love that.
I love it. I just love it.
Yeah.
And it's not new. I've had Joule Studio in my head since 2005.
Okay.
So you can imagine how excited I am to see this on a screen next to my name today.
Oh my gosh. And who will be your ideal client?
As an example, if we have all the Sage members, like charter members, founder members, most of them are already established. They've already got a busy calendar schedule. They've got plenty of followers, maybe. A lot of their followers are struggling. They are vegan business owners who are getting help from our members, like they're their clients. So I'm offering support behind the support.
Mm.
I'd like to put that out there. I'm open to recommendations. This is kind of a solicitation on my part for any Sage members to help me along with this, to help me create Joule Studio to best support them. Because
Mm.
let's just say like you have clients who come see you about the Plan A diet. And one of them says, yeah, my business is just not doing well. I don't have enough business. I don't have enough customers. I just really need some extra funding. You can say, oh, I know just the person who can help find that funding for you.
Mm.
And just put me in touch with them. That way, your
Mhm.
client is taken care of with extra funding and with the help that you give them. They make their money, they stay open. You have happy clients, and I get a little commission. That's my business.
Would they have to be a nonprofit, Julie, or not?
I'm completely open ended.
Oh, okay.
I talked with a friend just yesterday who just can't get her head around. I was working on a grants project with my aviation club. And she says, yeah, but grants are only for big organizations and symphonies or companies. And I'm like, oh, no, no.
Mhm.
I said, I see all kinds of grants for individuals
Mhm.
and companies offering to give grants. And so, as an example, I saw a grant in all of my searching this week for it's called the No Essay Grant. It's not even a half page online. If you Google No Essay Grant, you'll see it. And it says if you're in high school or college and you don't feel like writing an essay to get a grant, click here on this tab. And it goes straight to name, phone number, email address, you're entered for a $25,000 grant.
Wow.
There are grants for everything. The list is endless. People
Mhm.
should think outside the box. They shouldn't think, "Oh, I'm a speaker, so I should only look for speaker grants." No, no, no. There might be some other
Mm.
grant over here. Just go through the process. I
Mhm.
suggested to this friend that she make time for this instead of like replace the time that she worries about funding. Just get rid of that and apply for 5 grants that week or 10
Mhm.
grants, and you might get 1 or 2.
Wow. That is invaluable knowledge that you have right there, because I'm sure most 99.9% of us don't know anything about that. So,
Well, I think most people are so busy. They are doing their routine as
mhm.
their routine got them to today. And if you're in Sage, you're probably doing pretty well. Yeah, everyone has stuff going on, but if you're in this group, that means you had a little bit of extra time in addition
Mhm.
to everything else you're doing.
Yeah.
So you're already success. Everyone in this group is successful. If they want to disagree, they have my phone number. They can call and I will talk them out of it. I'll say, no, you're
Right.
already successful. You are way beyond successful, and you have an ability to go out right now and share this with people.
Mhm.
I suggest that, like, if we ever have a grants list, for instance, if we ever offer this to members, I would recommend that they go through the entire list, and unless something specific is like makes them ineligible, I would apply
Mhm.
for every one of them.
Mhm.
I mean, why would anyone not apply? It's it's
Right.
it's free money.
You have not because you ask not, right? Most of the time.
Yeah,
So,
if you don't ask the question, the answer is usually no.
right.
If you don't turn in the resume, you don't get the job. If you
Mhm.
don't ask for the funding, also parallel to grants, there are many, many, many business development opportunities for vegans.
Mm.
I there is no end to organizations and even wealthy individuals out there who aren't connected. They're not connected yet like we are. They are looking
Mhm.
for a group like us. They want to support individuals, they want to support groups. And so It's a little bit different than a grant because it's probably comes with it's a business development plan,
Mhm.
and there's criteria. But
Right.
people should know that that exists,
Mhm.
not just dismiss that or not say things like, "Oh, I'll never be eligible. Oh, that's too much work." Well, it's a lot of work to complain about not having funding.
Mhm. Yep,
Mhm.
very good. So when you come through town next week, give me a text and I'd like to have you over for lunch or
Yeah, what's for
whatever.
lunch? That's what I wanna know.
I'll feed you whatever I have on hand, which is usually very good because I love to cook.
Well, you gotta invite Janet.
Okay. Yeah, Janet
She
too.
said she lives a half hour away.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be fun. We can sit on the river deck and have lunch.
That would be so fun.
Well, thank you all for watching today. So sagecirclealliance.org is the website to go. Sign up, check it out. Charter memberships are available through May, which I think we have 2 more days after today. And you get a discount too when you sign up as a charter member. So any final thoughts or words of advice, Julie, before we sign off?
If you can think it, it's possible.
Mhm.
It is not beyond me to because I travel so much. It's not beyond me to make up little clips, little scratch like, I'll type something out with just the website, Sage Circle Alliance. Wanna upgrade your life? With the website, I'll cut out 20 of them and I'll lay them around tables. I'll put them on bulletin boards at Panera. I'll put them everywhere because, I mean, I was going for a master's degree. This would have been in, like, I don't know, the year 2000. I was, um I was looking for a graduate program in education because I wanted to teach the public. I didn't know what yet, but I wanted to have the skill. I threw away all the junk mail on my counter. This is like the author stories you hear, they threw their book away. I threw away the junk mail, but then as I looked in the trash, it said Workforce Education and Development, MS. And I'm like, I pulled it out of the trash. I was enrolled in the program the next week. I met some of the best people in my life in that degree program. It came at a terrible time. I was going through, just some personal adjustments at the time, so it wasn't ideal, but those people were right on time for me. They changed my life. They were very positive. One of the professors just directly, I was at a kind of a breaking point at the program. I told her, I said, "I think I'm gonna go home today." It was a cold winter day in DeKalb, Illinois. I said, "I'm gonna go home. I don't think I'm gonna continue this program. I just wanted to thank you." And she just quietly said, "Well, why don't you just go grab some lunch and then just come back for the afternoon?" And I don't know how she did it, but I came back and I finished the program, and 6 months later, I'm so glad I did.
Mhm.
I threw that away. I threw that away in the trash, and I retrieved it from the trash, and now thanks to that, that one degree got me into a really high-paying job years ago, just
Mm.
because I had the degree. It was just a box to check, but I had it.
Mhm.
So, if you can think it, d don't spend time talking yourself out of great things. And so
Mhm.
that's my final thought is don't ever question why you shouldn't join Sage. Just join.
Yeah,
It'll
exactly.
come together after you join. You just
Mhm.
um,
Great advice. Well, thanks again so much. And to all of you watching the live, thanks for being here and for watching the replay. Go to sagecirclealliance.org, check it out. And if you have any questions, there's contact information there. We'd be happy to help.
excellent.
So
I look
thanks,
forward to
Julie.
seeing you.
Okay, take care now. Bye
All right.
bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.